Welcome to our YouTube channel, where we share uplifting stories of transformation through faith. Here, you'll find incredible narratives of individuals whose lives have been changed by the divine influence of God. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more inspiring content. In a small coastal town, 28-year-old Jacob carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. As a fisherman, he worked long hours, but despite his efforts, financial struggles and personal setbacks loomed large. Jacob felt lost and burdened by his failures, desperately seeking a glimmer of hope. Jacob woke each morning before dawn, the salty air filling his lungs as he prepared for another long day at sea. Despite his best efforts, the catch was often meager, and bills piled up like the tide against the shore. He watched his dreams slip through his fingers like grains of sand, each failure weighing heavier on his heart. One stormy evening after a particularly grueling day, Jacob returned home to discover that the old roof had finally succumbed to the relentless rain. Water dripped steadily from the ceiling, soaking his small kitchen. He surveyed the damage: ruined fishing gear, a soaked mattress, and the lingering stench of mildew. Feeling utterly defeated, he sank to the floor, tears streaming down his face. "God, where are you?" he cried out into the emptiness of his home. "I need help. I can't do this alone anymore." In that moment, the weight of despair felt insurmountable. Jacob was convinced that he had exhausted every option, and the thought of giving up gnawed at him. Later that night, as the wind howled outside, Jacob heard a soft knock on the door. Startled, he opened it to find an elderly woman standing there, her face illuminated by the flash of lightning. She was wrapped in a weathered shawl, her eyes filled with warmth and understanding. "Good evening, Jacob." "I'm Miriam," she said, her voice soothing like a lullaby. "I've seen your struggles from the window of my home nearby. I'm here to help." Jacob hesitated, feeling both intrigued and skeptical. Who was this woman, and how could she possibly help him? Nevertheless, he invited her in, desperate for a distraction from his own despair. Miriam settled into a chair, her presence calming the chaotic thoughts in Jacob's mind. She shared stories of her own life, of losses, hardships, and the moments when she felt utterly alone. But she emphasized the importance of faith, recounting how she had found strength in her darkest hours. "Sometimes when we feel most lost, we need to open our hearts to divine guidance," she said, her eyes sparkling with sincerity. Jacob found himself listening intently. Despite his reservations, her words began to plant seeds of hope in his heart. Over the next few weeks, Miriam returned regularly. Each visit was filled with stories, wisdom, and encouragement. One afternoon, while they repaired the roof together, Jacob discovered an old photograph tucked beneath the shingles. It was a picture of his grandfather, a man he admired for his resilience. Miriam noticed Jacob's emotional response and encouraged him to reflect on his family's legacy. "Your grandfather faced storms too. What would he tell you now?" she asked. Inspired, Jacob realized that he was not alone in his struggles. He carried the spirit of his ancestors within him. As he began to shift his perspective, Jacob started noticing small miracles. A sudden bounty of fish filled his nets, and for the first time in months he had enough to sell at the market. With each successful haul, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. His faith began to flourish, not just in God, but in himself. Just as Jacob's life seemed to be turning around, disaster struck again. A massive storm was forecasted, one that threatened to destroy everything he had worked for. Panic washed over him. Memories of his previous losses flooded his mind, and he felt the familiar grip of despair tightening around his heart. The night of the storm, as the winds howled and rain lashed against his windows, Jacob faced a choice. He could succumb to fear or find strength within. Miriam's voice echoed in his mind. "Faith doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means trusting despite it." Summoning his courage, Jacob donned his rain gear and ventured outside to secure his boat. The storm raged, and the waves crashed violently against the shore. With each step, he felt a presence guiding him, an assurance that he was not alone. Remembering his grandfather's advice, "When the winds howl, stand firm," Jacob tied down the sails and reinforced the boat. In that chaotic moment, he chose to act with resilience rather than surrender to despair. When dawn broke, the storm had passed, leaving destruction in its wake. Jacob emerged from his home heart pounding and surveyed the damage. His boat was battered but still afloat, and his house had weathered the storm better than he had feared. As he began to assess the situation, Jacob was surprised to find neighbors gathering to help. They arrived with tools and supplies ready to lend a hand. In that moment, Jacob realized the true power of community. Miriam, now a dear friend, joined him in the repairs. "You see, Jacob, God works through others," she said with a smile. Jacob felt gratitude wash over him, not just for his friends, but for the trials that had brought them all together. He found a sense of purpose in giving back, helping others who had been affected by the storm. It was as if the struggles he had faced had transformed him into a source of strength for those around him. Months later, standing on the shore as the sun rose over the horizon, Jacob reflected on his journey. He was no longer the defeated fisherman. He had become a man of faith and resilience. Each struggle had sculpted him, chiseling away doubt and replacing it with unwavering hope. Inspired by his own transformation, Jacob began volunteering in the community, sharing his story of perseverance and faith. He became a beacon of hope for others facing their own storms, reminding them that even in the darkest of times, there is light to be found. As he watched the waves lap gently at the shore, Jacob understood that life's challenges were not merely obstacles but opportunities for growth. With a heart full of gratitude and a spirit of faith, he embraced each new day, ready to face whatever storms may come. Jacob's journey was one of faith through the storm, a testament to the power of divine intervention in the face of adversity. He learned that struggles could lead to transformation, and by embracing faith, he could navigate life's tempests with a heart full of hope. In the end, Jacob became a pillar of strength, embodying the very essence of resilience, reminding everyone that even in the darkest of storms, there is always light to be found. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more inspiring content.